Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for waiting. I'm traveling, and we had something like a monsoon or whatever, something at 9 a.m., exactly as I was ready to go live. So I didn't want to play with the internet and connection, so hence I'm here a bit later. So again, thank you for joining me. Happy, what is it, Wednesday. It's already Wednesday, December 18th, and this is our AM actual news. Before we begin, I wanted to ask, have you checked out the new podcast? Because I'm doing really my best to pronounce everything correctly and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And also to make it entertaining and factual and also brief. So you can listen to the actual news, whether you decide to listen to the podcast instead of reading the newsletter or you are complementing your newsletter with the podcast. Both works really well. The podcast it's called The Actual News. It's available, again, for free, of course, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on Amazon Music, everywhere, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And the schedule is in the morning, I present the AM actual news in video format. Then by the end of the day, you're getting your newsletter. And inside the newsletter, there's a thing where you can tap to listen to it. That's the podcast. And the podcast also premieres every afternoon, same time as the newsletter. So this way you can get your AM actual news, PM actual news, listen to me on the road and whatever you run errands and whatnot. So please let me know if you have checked it out. I would love, love, love to hear it. Hey, Callie. Hello. Safe travel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can you repeat the name? The name of the podcast is The Actual News. Same as this live stream, same as our new app, same as the newsletter. So The Actual News. Bonnie says, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, so The Actual News, let me show this thing again. If you find exactly, this is, I'm kind of going with consistency here. So the same picture of me in front of the White House everywhere. That's my, Facebook, from social media to podcast to newsletter to all of this. So I hope you can listen to it, and please let me know if you like it, if you think it's boring. Maybe it should be, because I'm also including the clips there. Like if I'm quoting somebody, I'm putting an audio clip of a quote to make it and interesting and entertaining, because I know listening to one voice is usually boring, so trying to make it engaging. All right, so let's begin with some actual news. So what I wanted to highlight, since mainstream media doesn't talk about it, I want to talk first about Vice President Harris and how she visited the Prince George's County in Maryland yesterday. And there she addressed high school and college students, recent graduates, and apprentices who have actively contributed to their communities. So she was joined by Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who also spoke, Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller, and Senator-elect Angela Brooks. The vice president emphasized the importance of civic engagement in preserving and expanding fundamental freedoms for future generations. During her remarks, VP Harris reflected on the letters she has received from Americans across the nation, sharing their resolve for the future despite challenges. There, I have a question. I think our letters, were a bit more pessimistic than optimistic. So she said, quote, "We must stay in the fight, every one of us." And then she called for continued efforts to ensure economic fairness, pursue shared ideas, and fight for a better future. And then she encouraged the audience to sort of like tank on, love and abundance and whatever during the holidays. Spend the time with your loved ones, tank on energy, and then after that, reemerge after the holidays and say, quote, chin up, shoulders back, and forever impatient for change, fighting for this country we love and the future we share. So it's uplifting, optimistic, but it's not, I mean, it's not nothing about like forensic audits or we're going to fight for, no, it's none of that. It's more like, okay, we're accepting the future looks like that starting January 20th, but we're not giving up. We're fighting our good fight, that type of thing. So it's nothing that is sort of reversing the results of the election. Yeah. So, uh, you know, okay, now, as to what I wanted to highlight, though, because it's very much deserving, what VP Harris did since taking office, right? And here's some data. She traveled to 36 states, meeting with community leaders, students, and advocates, including climate activists and gun safety advocates. She also led the Fight for Our Freedoms college tour. Remember when she went to the colleges, including HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions, and apprenticeship programs? And so she spoke to over 15,000 students. Why it did not reflect and mirrored in the election, that's a big question mark to me. Whether it did and we didn't count for it, whether TikTok played a role, again, without getting into conspiracy theories of overturning elections. No. Can we get answers what happened? Right? Because she did speak to the youth. We've heard the youth. So what was their issue to vote for, let's say, Trump at this point? Or did they, didn't they? Like, can we get some answers in this regard? Because that would certainly help the Democratic Party to come back. She also engaged with young leaders globally during her 17 international trips, including historic engagements with African youth leaders and innovators. Now, she regularly also participated in national youth-focused convenings, speaking on issues such as gun safety, voting rights, and the economy. So that speech altogether aligns with Vice President's broader leadership strategy, which emphasized empowering the next generation and preparing for long-term challenges and opportunities. Now, speaking of youth and speaking of TikTok, that played a major role, that did benefit Donald Trump in the election. Trump met day before yesterday in the evening. Well, this was Monday night, right? With the CEO of TikTok. Shou Chew was in Florida, and while TikTok filed an appeal with the Supreme Court, he wanted to appeal, see what I did there, to Donald Trump to actually cancel out that ban altogether. Trump spoke on that, referring to as he is still considering the ban. He is still thinking about it, although all our national security advisors, all the people who know the data, all the people who know what's up. Yesterday at 92Y, New York, there was this broader speech by Jack Sullivan, right? Now, our national security advisor under Biden administration, who said about TikTok, I understand the notion as to, okay, people run businesses there. It's a great way to find, entertaining content and whatnot. But we as national security advisors, we know what the threats are and what type of threats TikTok represents. Now, don't forget Romania and how TikTok played this major role in one day literally overturning the election, where this pro-Russian guy won, claiming he invested €0 into his campaign just to find out he spent $1 million on TikTok campaign, which was not accounted for the official election campaign. So for this reason, for instance, Romania did the investigation, closed out TikTok, banned it, also declared the election fraudulent, and now they're restarting again from the first round. And now they're appealing to European Union to do the same with TikTok. Actually, they're doing something very interesting in the European Union. They're discussing disallowing social media to be used for elections. Disallowing social media to take money from political candidates. Now that's interesting, because that would not allow to monetarily, right, to affect the algorithm. I understand that it's very easy to create your own bubble in the social media sphere. Whether you are on the left, right, confused, whatever you are, let's say you believe that the earth is flat. and you watch one video and you like it, the algorithm goes, oh, okay. And it will show you everything and everyone who confirms your opinion. So this way you're building your bubble. Next, your phone is also being read by other social media platforms because they're trading your data. Now you got to go to another platform and another, and the fourth and the fourth, fifth and the sixth. And everywhere you hear that Earth is flat. And then you truly believe that the world is this. And then in the real world, you meet somebody who says, huh, what do you mean Earth is flat? Look, here's, space travel. You're like, uh-oh, conspiracy theory. No, that's where we are. And that's what President Biden spoke in an interview yesterday as well. So we'll see what Trump will do with TikTok. I think if he will be pushed to continue with the ban, Elon Musk will buy out the American side of TikTok. I don't think it will be closed. That's my humble opinion. Let's see if I will be proven incorrectly, but let's see what this will be. Now, as to President Biden, he discussed media landscape in an interview. Interview with Nick Hanover, President Biden addressed the growing disconnect between how people experience the economy and how they perceive it. He attributed the gap to changes in the media landscape, stating that the press no longer functions as it once did. Quote, we pick what news we want to hear, Biden explained, unquote, emphasizing the challenges posed by technological shift. He acknowledged the difficulty of discerning truth in today's media environment and questioned how to resolve the lack of clear evidence in the public discourse. That's exactly what I just told you about. Next, a bit about Substack. And it's a very heavy decision for me. I like Substack. I like how the newsletter works. It's very efficient. But I am pushed to kind of reverse from Substack. And I'll tell you why. The newsletter will not discontinue. Probably you'll just receive it from another platform. But I have to see which one. What happened with Substack? A young entrepreneur started a Substack. Substack never made any money because people can read free newsletters, they can subscribe, they cannot subscribe, and whatnot. Also, Substack makes a fraction of what creators or writers are paid. Now, after the election, a lot of people went to Substack, right? The political, specifically those on the left, right, went to Substack because there you can build your own not clientele, but audience, right? I started Substack too. And so Elon Musk tried to purchase Substack right after he purchased Twitter because he said adding newsletters and sort of the newspaper-ish format to Twitter would be very beneficial. The Substack entrepreneur he met with Musk and disagreed, right? Because Musk said, I'm going to buy everything and I'm going to make you a CEO. And so Substack guy thought, I will, get money, but pretty much he can then fire me any moment. So he didn't sell it. Next, a couple of days ago, I am bombarded, as much as all of you, with this the free press. The free press thing. It's like, oh, it's a free press. It's a free press. Get subscription, subscriber, blah, 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 blah. So the free press thing, it was before it was called Common Sense. They started in 2021. They have a podcast called Honestly. That's another topic for another day. But and it's created by Bari Weiss. It's a reporter for New York Times, and then her wife, also I think another reporter for New York Times, or whoever was first. But they both run this the foreign what is it? The Free Press. That's what it's called. So now I'm thinking, what is this Free Press? And I'm going to their website, and it's Russian propaganda galore, like NATO provoked Russia to invade Ukraine. We have space lasers, and 5G is in our vaccine, that type of thing, right? Plus, very clearly defined Russian propaganda. Like, US has to withdraw its support from Ukraine. Ukrainians are being harassed by the pro-Western media, and so Russia has to, all of this nonsense. Then I'm digging deeper. And I have a point. Follow me, please. Then I'm digging deeper. Who's the investor? Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is the main investor in the Free Press. So whenever you see the Free Press, it's like black on white type of thing, logo and all. And he's the main investor. So I'm like, okay, makes sense. Now it's like the Twitter, this is the Free Press. So it's very works as one. Yesterday, I'm receiving an email. Probably you received it too from Substack if you're a subscriber, where the Substack entrepreneur says, I have merged with the free press because I see this will be our next thing to allow entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. So Substack is merged with the free press that is owned by Peter Thiel. The problem here is that they will know, let's say, it takes a search probably to find out everybody's newsletter. They will know all my content. They will know also who subscribes to me. They will know what I'm saying. And until now, I was telling you that whatever I'm afraid or whatever I'm not confident as to saying on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, whatever, I'm saying it in my newsletter because that's my safe haven. Now, that doesn't work because Trump is literally yesterday filed lawsuits against independent writers who literally have Substacks and newsletters. And not that I'm saying anything obnoxious or I'm afraid to be sued or anything. I don't do that type of thing. My angle is very different. I'm reporting on global politics, so I'm equally pissing off Trump and probably and Putin and everybody altogether. But I don't feel confident there. So our own app, probably newsletter, will come on just on our website, on Honest Network website, and you can just pretty much. I will have to see how I can migrate my Substack to the website. Because for you, it doesn't matter who sends you that email, whether it's Substack or my website, doesn't matter. So I have to see how I can migrate everything over because I don't feel safe after that email, nor I feel entertained. Bonnie says, so then we get only state media info, MSM. Exactly. Bonnie, yes, you nailed it. Because then X is owned, Substack is owned, because Substack was an alternative to all those New York Times and Washington Post and everything you guys unsubscribed from. Because all the independent voices went to Substack. And now they will start banning people. There needs to be guidelines, but still need social media. Indeed, we need social media. The talk here was in terms of European Union, and thank you, Bonnie, for pointing it out so I can explain it. The talk was not to use social media as paid promotion for a specific candidate. Why is it different from television? On television, you see an ad and it says, I'm good, the other guy bad, right? Guy, gal, doesn't matter. Now, but it doesn't change the programming you see and you watch on television. On social media, if you are paid, you are targeted to hear this guy's good, this guy's bad. Same as in Pennsylvania. People saw those anti-abortion ads with, truly saying that VP Harris is killing babies and all that kind of stuff. In New York, we didn't see it. So it was targeting a specific demographic at specific time. This is paid social media aspect. And that's what European Union is referring to. Substack it's getting inundated with some nasty far-right folks. I don't use it much. See? Thank you for saying that, Bonnie. Thank you. So today I will do my best research to migrate as fast as possible just to our website. Because believe me, we're all American based. No foreign investments. Website is safe. It's encrypted and everything. So you register there, you put your email, you don't have to even put your name. I don't sell your data. I don't run any ads there. So we need something very, very safe because I don't feel safe on Substack anymore. My God told me to steer clear of press. Peter Thiel is a bad actor. Yep. Okay. And since President Biden spoke about it, I was like, okay, so he's really tapping that idea, as to what's happening with the press. Now, let's talk quickly about the suspect of in killing that CEO, United Healthcare CEO. He's been charged with the first-degree murder, with the prosecution labeling the act as terrorism, which is interesting. I mean, we don't really have national terrorism as a way to prosecute people, but Manhattan District Attorney described the attack as brazen, targeted, and premeditated, emphasizing that the killing was not random, but rather politically motivated act. But listen, I'm not seeing this guy as a hero. If you guys do, please, this is whatever floats your boat. If somebody kills somebody by shooting them in the back, This is nothing to be celebrated. Yes, we have problem with healthcare. Yes, we need to address it. But this is not the way to address it. Killing people because you don't like the company doesn't solve it. Healthcare, United Healthcare, the way it was declining, your and mine and whoever is using it, request will keep doing it. It's just one guy lost his life and a family lost their father. So this is not the road I'm going to take you in, or I'm inviting you to embark on. But addressing healthcare companies and healthcare issue as all together, yes. But then hear what Trump says: we need free marketplace. So he wants competing insurances, thinking this will lower the pricing. No, it actually will cause monopoly. We have a lot of airlines. Do you think the pricing went down because we have a lot of airlines? No, the pricing went down for the ticket, but then the pricing for the seat came up, and for using bathroom, maybe that's the next thing. I flew yesterday. Every little breath you take, it will cost you. So would watch for Joe to do something actual info news wise after out of office. He recognized the fact. What can he do after out of office? He can do now inside in the office. But hey, Rosie Marie, hello, hello. Peter Thiel is a back actor, indeed. Okay, so we'll see about the killer and what he will be prosecuted with or charged with ultimately. Now, Trump, you know how at Mar-a-Lago he gets awarded randomly? Like there's this women of Mar-a-Lago, they create awards and he wins them. Like his son won the award of like a son of the year award. And now Trump was awarded yesterday with Founding Father Award at his country club today. Yesterday, with attendees claiming he should be honored at Mount Rushmore for his contributions to saving America. The event, which has drawn attention on its bold rhetoric, highlights Trump's continued presence in spotlight. He won already. My question is, why do you need that type of spotlight? You're already incoming president. Like, what is this about? But if you wonder how this looks like, no, it's not composed and like, like very fancy or whatever. No, it's random. He rolls out of bed with t-shirt and pants and gets some like hand-driven award.
We are presenting you the Founding Father Award because you are a Founding Father, because you saved America. You're not a founder, but you saved America. If it wasn't for you.
It's like high school awards. What bothers me is this. Now let's talk about it later when I have a readout about Canada. So Trump also sued the Register over Election poll, right? So he filed a lawsuit against Des Moines, right? That's how you pronounce it, Register, and its former pollster Ann Seltzer, claiming that a November poll inaccurately showing Kamala Harris leading by 3 points in Iowa constituted election interference. The lawsuit, citing a state law on deceptive ads, argues that the poll harmed Trump even though he won Iowa by 13 points. Legal experts suggest Trump's changes on winning the case are slim, but see it as part of a broader strategy to intimidate the media. And that's the whole point, right? If you sue somebody who's an independent journalist, who doesn't have the funds to fight back, this journalist will literally spend all his or her or their funds to fight this case and not to be closed, and it will be very scary and it will be very expensive. So all this journalist will do is not write anymore. And that's the idea, not to win the case, to scare people from doing what they're doing or to reverse. That DT award thing makes me want to hurl. Sorry, I was kind of graphic for it for the AM. Yeah, the point of control in news. Yes, exactly. So this lawsuit for him follows a recent surprise settlement with ABC News, right? Where ABC News just caved in and paid $15 million, donated to his library. Also, other media organizations, including CBS, are facing lawsuits from Trump over alleged misleading coverage. I mean, any coverage that is not pro-Trump is claimed misleading. Okay, some quick news. Republican senators expressed support for RFK Jr., Trump's pick for health secretary. Senator Roger Marshall, a physician, pledged to back him. Quote, I'm all for polio vaccine, quote unquote, Kennedy insisted this week, but he has made dubious claims about it in recent years, including suggesting that it cost more lives than it saved. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez lost a secret ballot to become the House Oversight Committee's top Democrat. Jerry Connolly, her 74-year-old colleague, won. In the report, House Republicans said that former Representative Liz Cheney should face criminal investigation for her role in the January 6th Select Committee. More about Congress. The money Congress has allocated for Ukraine probably won't all be spent before Trump takes office. It's also unclear if he's continued the aid. It's clear he won't. So. Lawyers for Trump accused a juror in his Manhattan criminal case of misconduct, their latest effort to overturn his conviction. So now they're going by against innocent people of New York. Like there is a nurse who was so harassed because he leaked her information. She was so harassed at the hospital, at home in Harlem. So she withdrew from the jury, which caused another delay in that to find a new jury. Now, after the fact, after the conviction, he's going against those jurors, against innocent people who don't have the money or the means to fight back. Well, faith in the U.S. electoral system has risen, surveys find. Trump's win this year erased Republicans' post-2020 distrust. Again, so if it fits my bubble, I trust it. If it challenges me mentally, I don't trust it. That's the idea here. Welcome to the echo chamber. Herschel Walker, former NFL player from Georgia, who lost the Senate election in 2022, is Trump's pick to be U.S. ambassador to Bahamas. Disney removed a transgender storyline from an upcoming animated series about a middle school softball team. Europe's industry has increased its investment in research and development, R&D, by 9.8% in 2023. Now, this is interesting. Surpassing the growth of corporate R&D investment in the U.S., which grew only by 5.9%, and China, 9.6%, which is 9.6, 9.8, very close, for the first time since 2013, according to the new edition of the EU Industrial R&D Investment Scoreboard. So EU is investing more in research and development, and we are investing more in producing our goods elsewhere. Bonnie says free press speech will have to get up to SCOTUS. That's not a guarantee. Supreme Court will decide for Trump. I mean, let's just call a thing a thing. President Biden has the immunity. He is currently president. I really, really urge him to do something. And probably he knows best what to do. Now, U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, whom you like, announced groundbreaking protections for airline passengers with disabilities, marking the most significant expansion of their rights in decades. The final rule mandates rigorous standards for safe and dignified assistance, enhancing training for airline staff, timely handling of wheelchairs, and improved accessibility measures. Now, notable provisions are, for instance, airlines must ensure safe, respectful assistance for passengers with mobility challenges. Also, annual hands-on training for employees assisting passengers with disabilities is mandatory by June 2026. Airlines must ensure timely enplaning, deplaning, and the prompt return of wheelchairs in their original condition. And airlines must cover costs for delayed, damaged, or lost wheelchairs as well, and provide loaner devices, and compensate for fare differences due to wheelchair-related travel issues. Now, enhanced onboard wheelchair requirements will be phased in with full implementation by 2031. Now, the rule follows DOT's record-breaking penalty against American Airlines in 2024 for disability rights violations and aligns with efforts like 2023 Accessible Lavatories Rule and the 2022 Airline Passengers with Disabilities Bill of Rights. Implementation begins in January 2025 with full compliance required by mid-2026. Now, if you need more details, please visit flightrights.gov. Flightrights.gov. Okay. Now, FTC also cracked down on hidden fees. They have passed a new rule requiring ticket sellers and hotels to disclose total prices up front, banning hidden fees often added later in the booking progress. The 4-1 vote, with Andrew Ferguson, President-elect Trump's pick to replace FTC Chair Lina Khan, dissenting. See? Aims to save U.S. consumers 53 million hours of searching for true costs. This rule follows similar efforts earlier this year to mandate transparency for airlines and credit card companies, though those measures are currently stalled in the court. Now, Honda and Nissan explore a merger. They're reportedly in talks for merge, according to Japan's Nikkei. The potential deal, aimed at strengthening their position against Tesla and Chinese electric vehicle companies, would create a stronger competitor in the global automotive market. A merger could also challenge Toyota's dominance in Japan. There are also discussions about possibly including Mitsubishi in the deal, further consolidating Japan's automotive industry. So they all will come as one. As to drones, right, President Biden yesterday in a very short gaggle with the press said that I believe FBI and all the authorities say there is no threat with the drones. FBI, and also this was like multi-agency statement yesterday, pretty much saying that we have millions of drones registered. Don't worry, everything is fine. Everything is fine, right? No panic on Titanic. Now, small drones were spotted flying over Air Force bases in Utah, Ohio, and Germany last month. In addition to the arrest of a Chinese citizen who allegedly used a drone to snap photos of a Space Force base, as a rash of incursions around military installations expands. As to Elon Musk and SpaceX failed to comply with federal reporting protocols meant to protect state secrets. Among other violations, Musk did not provide some details on meetings with foreign leaders. If you ask me, I think this will be dragged until January 20th and then dismissed. But it's good notion, it's a bit late. Bonnie says that's a good thing. I think it's about the Buttigieg rule. Last I flew through United was pretty good, except for 16-inch seat size. Yeah, and very close too, right? Now, as to Air Force, the Air Force recently expanded its waiver tolerances for asthma, food allergies, and hearing loss. The move should bring between 600 and 1,000 new recruits a year, though they would be restricted from certain jobs or duty stations, obviously. Also, an Air Force effort to get more diversity among its officer candidates over the past 2 years fell short in most cases, and now faces an uncertain future under the incoming administration, since they're going to ban the DEI and all that kind of stuff. Interestingly, also, National Nuclear Security Administration needs to get more consistent in setting program priorities and managing new nuclear weapons programs. The Government Accountability Office said, this is an independent watchdog, the NNSA also likely doesn't have enough people supervising the many vendors working for it, GAO said. Next, U.S. Department of Treasury and specifically Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control announced sanctions on 12 individuals and 8 entities spanning 7 countries for their involvement in the global illicit drug trade. This action highlights the United States' commitment to countering the threat of synthetic drugs domestically and internationally. Also, the same Department of Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control announced sanctions against 2 individuals and a UAE-based entity that they used in laundering millions of dollars generated by North Korean IT workers and cybercrime operations. The network operates under the direction of Sim Hyun Sop, a China-based banking representative for North Korea, already sanctioned by OFAC. Sim orchestrates money laundering schemes that finance DPRK's weapons of mass destruction and ballistic missile programs. So see how it's connected, right? North Korea goes through UAE, but it's actually all done by China. Now, as to Canada, that's what I wanted to talk. Yeah. Chrystia Freeland, right, Canada's finance minister and deputy prime minister, has resigned, citing differences with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's over preparations for potential coming tariff war. In her resignation letter, she emphasized that the need for Canada to maintain fiscal prudence is the key. And so, what happened? She's Ukraine born, right? So she's kind of like familiar with the Putin's regime and the style. And so she was not in favor of, going to Mar-a-Lago, which Justin Trudeau did, and seeking diplomacy and diplomatic ways to work with Trump's administration or work around it, right? Which, of course, we can understand Trudeau's notion. Her point was, let's take the approach that Mexico did, right? Have a strong letter, let Trump call you, say that you're an independent state, we have nothing to do with your problems, point out the problems. Remember, like Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, did, right? Saying that, listen, the drugs, yeah, because you have demand in the US, and that's why we're producing drugs, but solve your demand issue. That will solve the idea with the illicit drugs pouring in your country. Also, let's talk about why people are migrating. And then she said, mostly those are not Mexicans. They're using Mexico as a gateway. So fix your border issue. So pretty much it was a fierce comeback. That's what Chrystia Freeland wanted from Canada. Trudeau chose a very soft approach, right? Or diplomatic approach, not soft, diplomatic approach. To each their own, but he offered her not to be financial minister. And she said, no, I go back. I will be in parliament. I will be running for re-election in parliament, but I will not be part of this. Now, she also posted a letter. Your letter is in the newsletter, so you can read exactly what she wrote in her resignation letter. What I wanted to show you is you probably were asleep at 3:30 a.m. tonight, as much as I was. But Trump tweeted this. No one can answer why we subsidize Canada to the tune of over 100 million a year. Makes no sense. Many Canadians want Canada to become the 51st state. They would save massively on taxes and military protection. I think it's a great idea. 51st state. Canada, do something. If you allow that, this is not jokes anymore. This is not trolls anymore. This is, can be followed by military action at this point. And using Putin's rhetoric as to how he invaded Ukraine to protect Russian speakers. Yesterday, Jake Sullivan was with Ian Bremer talking at this, in New York City last night. And he kind of said, Jake Sullivan said, look, comparing to visualize Putin's situation with war. He said, imagine US would be invading Canada and we would go, city by city, losing 600,000 people. And we would be somewhere by Ottawa at this point, trying to take it over, but we couldn't, blah, blah, blah. And to which Bremer said, this is actually Trump's next plan. You think that it sounds so surreal, but just read the tweets. Okay, France. France has deployed rescue ships and military aircraft to its Indian Ocean territory of Mayotte, which was hit by its most destructive cyclone in nearly a century. Authorities fear the death toll could reach into thousands. Mayotte, the poorest territory in the European Union, has been severely impacted by the disaster. Now, as to Japan, Tokyo has unveiled a new draft plan to increase its power generation from renewable sources by 40 to 50% already by 2040. In a notable shift from its previous stance following 2011 Fukushima disaster, the plan also includes nuclear energy, which will account for approximately 20% of Japan's energy mix. This change reflects Japan's evolving energy strategy, aiming for a balanced approach to meet both environmental goals and energy security. By the way, in our podcast tonight and the newsletter, I'm going to have a bit of a deep dive. AI is causing our electric grid to be overused. So the new administration is planning for half of the United States sort of blackout rollouts, like where you don't have electricity scheduled from 12 till 3 and all that kind of stuff. And they are expecting blackouts all around. But we're serving the AI. Okay. Chinese officials made a rare visit to Taiwan for the annual Taipei Shanghai City Forum, marking one of the few remaining venues of high level dialogue after China severed regular communication with Taiwan's government in 2016. Taipei's mayor expressed hopes for more dialogue and less confrontation, while Shanghai's vice mayor announced the resumption of tours between the two cities. But don't get fooled. Um, During that entire conversation, Beijing continued to send warplanes and ships into Taiwan Strait, again during this forum, highlighting ongoing military tensions. What the comment? Canada needs to nip that poop in the bud. UK Commonwealth would have something to say about it, I would think. And that's my whole point. I mean, peace through strength, Zelensky said it, but also we kind of have to get familiar with that idea. Rosemary says it would be a war with the UK. I also would think that's my whole point too, right? That was my idea of understanding what the hell this third world life, rolling blackouts. Indeed, get our solar panels now before the tariffs. That's a very good idea, by the way, Bonnie. That is a very good idea. Now, interestingly, China is expanding its influence in Kazakhstan uranium sector, right? Kazakhstan's near Russia, pushing Russia out after a Chinese state company acquired Rosatom's, this the Russian company, shares in Kazakh uranium mining operation. Kazakhstan, the world's largest uranium producer, has increasingly turned to China for economic and strategic support as Russia's war in Ukraine and international sanctions have weakened Moscow's position. Now, let's not get fooled. They also transfer funds to Russia through Kazakhstan, so it just gives them a possibility to go around the sanctions. China has become Kazakhstan's largest trading partner, surpassing Russia last year with two-way trade reaching $41 billion. The shift away from Russia is evident, with Kazakhstan's President Tokayev openly welcoming Chinese President Xi while not extending the same honor to Russian President Putin. Kazakhstan's growing cooperation with China is critical in critical sectors, including logistics, reflects a broader pivot toward Beijing, which offers a sanctions free transit route and growing demand for uranium. And this is interesting because there was this summit with Kazakhstan where Putin said, well, we're Russia, like you pretty much Russian, to which the president of Kazakhstan started talking in their language. And Putin was like, where's my translator? And so he tried to prove, like, oh, Russian? Really? Can you understand our language? That was a good thing. Um, Lieutenant General, well, Ukrainians allegedly have executed the Russian general, and here's why. So, Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, head of Russia's nuclear, biological, and chemical defense forces, was killed in an explosion in Moscow along with his assistant. A Ukrainian official speaking anonymously claimed Kiev orchestrated the assassination. This comes a day after Ukraine's domestic security service charged Kirillov in absentia for allegedly using banned chemical weapons against Ukrainians. Remember where it looked like phosphor bombs and it looked like beautiful rain and it was burning people from inside? That. Kirillov is the highest ranking Russian general killed outside the battlefield since Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. Of course, Russians called it terrorist act and said there will be inevitable retribution. But the killing sort of adds to the tension as to how Trump wants to solve this whole conflict in 24 hours. What's new this morning is that the Russian authorities said they had detained a suspect, a 29-year-old Uzbek guy from Uzbekistan, in the killing of a general in Moscow. They said he had confessed to acting on the orders of Ukrainian agents. They're like, they always try to find somebody to blame. Then they like cut their ears off, dangle it bloody on television. That's what Russians do. And then these people usually confess whatever they want them to confess, which happened. Remember that fire that set in that concert recently? And then they found some people who said, oh, we were going to Kiev to pick up cryptocurrency. And Russians, oh, okay. Meanwhile, why do you need to go somewhere to pick up cryptocurrency? Like, what a nonsense is that? So make better excuses because that makes no sense. So now, another news, Ukraine is allocating 50 billion hryvnia to provide people with housing. In fact, 10% of housing in Ukraine has been lost at this point. Now they started rolling out this program where they will get certificates for people to get apartments, housing. They start with 50,000 people in 2024 already to get certified to get housing. It's a long readout. It's in your newsletter and in the podcast as well. So Zelensky also met with Poland, with the president, Donald Tusk. It's like Donald Trump, Donald Tusk, in Lviv yesterday, where he spoke about Ukraine's intention to join EU and NATO. Again, remains to be seen about NATO, very much dependent on what Trump wants to do with NATO and, allowing or vetoing it. But remember how Hungary was headlining European Council, right? This time, Poland would be headlining it. And so Polish president assured support for Ukraine militarily, economically, financially. And he pretty much listened to Zelensky, what needs to be sort of on the top of the agenda for the foreseeable future for the EU. Hence, before he steps in presiding over European Union's commission. So, Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, has taken his boldest diplomatic gamble by supplying an estimated 11,000 troops and stockpiles of weapons to Russia. I showed you those troops and how they're doing. Yesterday were viral videos that I'm not going to show you, not to get banned, where Russians now decide, because Ukrainian drones are flying into a battle zone and it's winter, right? And they see the corpse, right? They count how many North Koreans have been killed. So Russians are now taking torches and burning their faces of those dead bodies, so people will not recognize that they're North Korean. Now, sending troops brings a range of benefits for North Korea, including much needed cash and diplomatic leverage. Mr. Kim is receiving billions of dollars worth of food, oil, cash, and advanced weapon system from Russia that will help his regime endure international sanctions and upgrade its conventional armed forces, analysts say. Now, quickly about CNN. Remember that video where Clarissa Ward went into those prison and freed the guy who was there for 3 months? He couldn't see the light of day, and he's the innocent guy in prison, yada, yada, yada. Remember this video?
After 3 months in a windowless cell, he can finally see the sky.
انت حر
يلا ضو
انت حر لا
يلا يا ضو
روح حجي روح
يلا
هدي اعصابك
My
يلا ضو
God, the light, he says. Oh God, there is light.
ما ضل
My
لا
God,
سجن
there
ولا
is
نظام
light.
ولا طيران الحمد لله.
Turns out this guy was identified as one of the heads of Syrian pro-Bashar al-Assad air forces. Dude is a billionaire. He has been torturing people. He has been killing people. He has been identified after this CNN situation all around Syria, where they were shocked that this guy is, either being planted by CNN and used for breaking news segment, or CNN was fooled. Which is now altogether raising questions as to what type of vetting process do they do, especially in such very frigid conditions, right, where this serious future is being decided. So it's very difficult to navigate if media will be giving airtime to all these creeps. So this guy was thrown in this dungeon pretty much for 1 week because he did not share his profits off of torturing and killing people. We'll see. Well, CNN issued a statement saying, "We have subsequently been investigating his background and are aware that he may have been a false identity." No way, Jose. Okay. Now, leader of Syria's recent takeover, this Jolani, remember, the headliner of HTS. Now he has a new name. He goes now by Ahmed al-Shara. And he called for a press conference, and he talked to different reporters. Al-Shara condemned Israel's territorial advances and the activities of Iranian militia, though he notably did not address Russia's involvement, because he is trading Russia's military base to Russia. So he's trying to kind of have now a monetary exchange with Russia. He emphasized that Syria's future government would not excessively interfere in personal freedoms and revealed that contact has been made with minority leaders. As European officials from France and Germany visit Damascus, the European Union also plans to reopen its office in the capital, signaling potential shifts in international engagement. Now, the removal of Bashar al Assad also presents some difficulties there. So they found his palace, and under the palace, they found like entire production facilities and storage facilities for illicit drugs. So this drug cartel is what fed not just Bashar al Assad's regime, but also Hezbollah. Read out on that is in the newsletter and in the latest podcast, the number 2 episode from yesterday. So, quickly, serious new rules have promised amnesty to rank and file soldiers conscripted under Bashar al Assad. Hundreds lined up to learn whether this promise applies to them. The Islamists who now govern Syria have controlled the city of Idlib for years. Its residents say they have imposed some strict laws there, like Sharia law, anti-women, that type of stuff, but also improved public services. Benjamin Netanyahu in territory Israel recently seized in Syria vowed that Israeli troops would remain in the country for the foreseeable future. Hence, this what's his name? Sharad now. I just got used to Jelani, but no, his name is al-Shara. So now this al-Shara is against Israel, of course, occupying territories. Now, the U.S. military conducted airstrikes on December 16th, targeting Islamic State, the ISIS militants in central Syria, following the collapse of Bashar al-Assad's regime. They killed 12 ISIS militants with no reported civilian casualties. They also vowed to prohibit ISIS from takeover. And the earlier strikes on December 8 involved over 140 precision munitions and 75 targets, utilizing a variety of U.S. aircraft. So again, all your detailed readouts are in the newsletter. Let me pull it up. So if you're not subscribed, please get it. honest.substack.com. For now, please get it. I will get all your information migrated to our website soon. But at this point, it's safe. There's nothing, to fear. There's also access to our podcast. But if you don't want to reach it through the podcast, through the newsletter platform, you can listen to the podcast on any platform of your choosing: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, it's there. Actual News, right? It's called the Actual News Podcast. And so there are detailed readouts from the newsletter. So you can decide to read the newsletter, listen to it, or do both. Okay? All right. At this point, I'm done. 52 minutes. I took it from your day. So I hope this brought you value. If it did, please like it. Please share it. Please subscribe. The more, the merrier. We want to expand to our demographic to allow people to get actual news. That's the main idea. All right. And again, thank you so much. Please stay tuned for your newsletter later today and the new podcast episode where you can take me on the road or whatever and, listen to the actual news. Okay. CNN got duped. Yeah. I hope they got duped with that Syrian thing. I hope they didn't orchestrate it. That's what I hope. Bonnie says that particular reporter has knee-jerk emotional reactions on the regular. Yeah, it's true. Arc LA. Hey, hello. Thank you for joining. Any word on Blue Sky getting a live broadcast? No, they're not doing it. They don't have the capacity. Like, it's run by a very small company. The previous owner of Twitter started Blue Sky, and he still owns it. Musk friend, but he divested from it. The rumor is, but still has shares. But they're not putting money into offering monetization, which is very important for independent journalists to keep them there, or to have video format. Videos are only 59 seconds or less, which is very difficult for me to upload any type of video. So I'm kind of like putting on YouTube, putting a link there. Now they're also, same as Twitter, start blocking those the links to YouTube because they want people to stay in. So own app is the safest bet on my end, and I will migrate the newsletter. So my only thing with the app, because I don't want people to pay for access, so I need to work with companies and selecting companies to work with that will help me run this whole thing, because it's a 24-hour operation, and to have these sponsors, partners who will not shut me up, who will allow me to do what I do to my best ability. That's the thing here. Once I have that, you have the app, you have everything in one. So, all right. Thank you so much, everybody. I see you live tomorrow, 9 a.m., unless we have another monsoon. This was like, whoo, today is nuts. But thank you for being here. Please share it, like it, please, please, please. And I will see you tomorrow live in the morning. And please listen to the podcast. I would love to hear your feedback if you like it, if you find it useful. All right. Have a wonderful day. Keep it safe. Okay. Stay safe. Stay positive. We'll get through. All right. Thank you for being here and have a wonderful day.